You know, I was sitting with the guys from Marshall Tucker yesterday, and they just got back from doing a USO tour overseas. And Doug Gray, the lead singer, he was also in Vietnam. And I said, how are the boys and girls doing over there? Because it's young kids that are overseas. And he said, they're hard. They're getting the job done. They were happy to see somebody from home, but they're hardened. And I saw it in his eyes that it made him a little sad that 24 and 25-year-old young people are overseas seeing the stuff that they shouldn't see. And he was a sergeant in Vietnam, and he said, I saw a lot of stuff that I wished I could forget, but I saw in those young men and women's eyes over in Iraq, over in Kuwait, and they're going back to Afghanistan, I think, next month, that it's sad to see young people so hardened.
Well, and the other thing is, it's the ravages of war. It's tougher terrain than we saw in World War II, but the country is not united and really hasn't been since World War II. So, you know, you come home and you're either not noticed, or some people really love you, or just your family loves you. Budweiser has this great commercial of a guy, and I start tearing up when I see it. He calls and he's coming home and he thinks nobody's noticed. And he gets there, and they're in the barn in the back, and his brother grabs him, and you just go, oh, my goodness, this is what America's all about. But that lack of clarity, and it's perfectly patriotic to question sending our young men into battle if we're not clear. But after World War II, I don't think there's been that public support, and I think that hardens them as well.
Well, the Patriot Guard did a ceremony down in Dickinson welcoming home a young man that just got discharged from Brooke Army. The Wounded Warrior Project is a great program, and I know that all of us talk about that sort of charity and stewardship in our community. That inspires me. The fact that without the government mandating or legislating stewardship, that the public does that. Because I think it's ingrained. And we know that we need to take care of those that need to be taken care of. We work hard, we play hard, but the widows, the orphans, the infirmed, the less fortunate, as long as the government's not telling us we need to do it, as long as they're not redistributing our wealth, I think people answer that challenge. And we just saw that over the weekend. I was involved with a bunch of charity events. Garfield, you're out there. You're always beating the bushes and doing charity events and speaking in public. What inspires you? What gives you hope?
Well, first of all, the Budweiser commercial is phenomenal. It gives you a tear. It makes me thirsty, by the way. But it's nice that corporations who spend millions and millions of dollars to push their product, they actually can turn it around and actually make it patriotic, and they've done that for years. The hope, it's probably a little different than you guys, because I talk about, if you listen to my show, I mean, I stay, I'm not the political guy like that, but I talk a lot about my kids. And that is the hope and inspiration, I think, of all of us. We're all dads up here. There's a lot of parents out here in the audience. But that's the legacy. One of the reasons that I'm not down on politics, so I don't get into it, it's because, at least to me, and I know I'm going to get a lot of poo-poos here, but, suck it up. It's just, we can vote. And is it directly on a day-to-day business? Is it going to change your every single day life? You'd like to think it. You'd like to think it can, but it can't. But for our kids, everything that we do as dads up here, it affects their life, and that is our future. It scares the bejesus out of me that there's still terrorism in the world, and my 10-year-old, he hates watching the news at 10 o'clock. He's scared because it's all the shootings and the killings. And it's about controlling and consoling them, but it's also teaching them, because they're the ones who are taking care of us one day. They're the ones who are going to have to control this world. What gives us hope, corny as it seems, is that we have radio stations, the internet, where we actually can fight back and talk back. I mean, we're getting all this crap dealt with us from Washington, D.C., and, in the morning and the afternoon, we're blanketed right here because, we're not taking it sitting down. We actually have a voice to actually, fight back, and hopefully we're going to make a change here in, a year and a half or so.
Oh, yeah, we are. Pags, I hear you have a collection of cars. How many cars do you have? Okay, McCain, you got to count how many houses you got? How many cars do you have?
I can tell you houses. Cars, I've got, I think it's 12.
Jeez. Really?
Well, they don't all run. That's the problem. I mean, they're in different stages of disrepair. But I've got some really, really nice ones, too. But I would say 12. I think 12.
So when you're taking out your favorite car, your Roadster or whatever, if you were going to pop in a CD or dock your iPod, what would you listen to for driving music?
Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Chicago, or AC/DC.
Spinning Wheel?
Oh yeah, I love Spinning Wheel, sure. But I like Lucretia McEvil probably.
Yeah, very nice. Garf, what's in your CD player right now?
I don't have a CD player. It's the 21st century, bro. I mean, come on, help me out. Like all you can download here from great. The neat thing that I am a very, very big music fan. If you listen to my show starting on Saturdays, I try to select the music. I'm a big, big 80s fan. And we are all, our sweet spot when we grew up, I think we love the 80s. And I'm never going to go grow up with that. I mean, I used to, one of the reasons my inspiration to be in radio was Casey Kasem and his countdown and his top 40. And I don't know, sometimes I'd like to think I'm counting down the top 40 and I remember these songs. I remember what number these songs peaked at and I play it. So you're going to find a lot of it's Asia, it's John Cougar Mellencamp. It's not nearly as, the kind of the harder, rock back in the 70s, but it's also the new stuff. And this is why I'd like to think I'm one of the cooler daddies. I mean, I'm down with every song of Usher, of what he sings, what he's done, because I still need to stay in touch with what's happening now, but it's also the kids too. I think it's funny Daddy knows every single word of Rappers Delight, but also more from Usher or something. So you're going to hear just a whole array of stuff.
We replay the old Casey Kasem American Top 40s on Saturday nights right after the Outlaw Dave Saturday Night Showcase.
I've always wanted to do a countdown. Turns out this guy does a countdown of the Texas music. You got a job that I wanted to do.
Michael Berry, now you've got the country music countdown, and when does that air?
Sundays 5 to 7 on KTRH.
And you brought a bunch of these young Texas country artists, or you just mentioned Ryan Bingham earlier. Who else have you had a chance to have on the program that just blew you away?
Well, Roger Creager, Corey Morrow are two favorites, like Randy Rogers a lot. But my favorite guest for the show was not one of the newer guys. I had Gene Watson in studio, and I grew up listening to Gene Watson. I got to meet Mickey Gilley, and there's a meeting set up for me with him in a couple of weeks. Mickey Gilley is one of these. I like, for me, most good country on the national level stopped in about 1980, other than maybe Keith Whitley and Earl Thomas Conley. But I like the old country. I like the Waylon Jennings and the Mickey Gilley and the Willie Nelson. I like a lot of that old stuff. That's my favorite.
We're having Corey Morrow on the program Wednesday. He's playing out at the Crawfish Festival. 25 years they've been doing that.
And to me, that's not label-selected music. That's guys writing about things that wouldn't make it onto a label because it's not as mainstream. It's much better in concert than it is on the radio, but to me, that's independent Texas and red dirt music. That's the best.
What was the last concert you saw?
Corey. I go out and see Corey every time. Corey and Roger Creager. I don't miss a concert.
Last concert you saw, Garfield?
Pitbull last Thursday. Seriously?
Last concert you saw?
Ted Nugent.
And
I opened for him.
Did you?
Well, I did. I announced him. Ted and I go back 12 years. We're very good friends.
He's playing August 25th, House of Blues. We're going to go to that. He gave up a couple of kids for adoption when he was, I guess, coming out of high school.
Right.
And his daughter grew up and married a former heavyweight champion of the world, Lou Savarese. That's his wife, and they got one of these agencies that goes and finds your biological parents. Turns out it was Ted Nugent.
Can you imagine finding Ted Nugent going, "That's my dad"? Wow.
I thought they were just telling me some sort of wolf story, and she one day came up on the program and calls Ted Nugent, gets him on the phone, and I've had him on the program for years,
right.
And he's all excited, and that was his daughter, Louisa Savarese, and they sat there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. Of all the famous people you've met, who's the most inspirational?
Boy, that's a tough question. Yeah, this is going to sound stupid because I think some people think that his what he does in the radio and television is getting tiresome. But I still find great inspiration from Glenn Beck. I just think that he's a great guy. He's been very, very helpful to me in my career for no reason other than he thought I was good in the radio. And he's a guy who sticks to his guns, sticks to the issue, sticks to what he believes in, and doesn't care what advertisers leave and who makes fun of him. He inspires me in what I do career-wise. But my inspiration outside of the career or outside of famous people would be my family other than that.
Yeah, I worked with Glenn Beck years ago.
Did not know that.
When he was...
right here, right?
Yeah, in Houston. I worked at Z-Rock, and next door was KRBE, and he was the morning guy. And he actually had a character voice that he did. A lot of these morning show radio people, they do a voice. They have character. They have some guy that does a voice. Well, Glenn Beck, it was just him, and he did his own character voice. It was Clydey Clyde, and he would speed up an old reel-to-reel, and he would record. He would practice the bits he was going to do. He would record this other part, and then he would play off of it. And it was just it was genius to watch him work. But he was not the friendliest of people.
He said he was a jerk back then.
No,
he says he wasn't a nice guy at all.
No, he drank really hard.
Yeah.
Your relationship with your father, how did it shape your life?
Oh, it was every, my brother has worked in prisons and narcotics and everywhere else, and he said, I've never arrested somebody or walked along a prison cell that had a dad. He said, without a doubt, I asked them all. They never had a dad. I had a dad who told me, part of the reason I'm such an egomaniac is my dad told me I could be anything in the world. And I believed it. We didn't have a lot financially, but he got off at 4 o'clock. At 4:12, he walked through the door. He coached every team I was ever on. He came to every event. He saw every award. He was at every aspect of my life. And to this day, you can't go to I can't go to Orange. People hate me because my dad brags on me. Every single aspect of my life.
That he does.